Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to Keep Her Quick, your latest local news and weather, commercial free in 20 minutes or less. We're going to jump right over to weather, though, because we're seeing a kind of a nice seasonal kind of range for the week here. But as we head on into next week is when we really start to see those temperatures ramp up, right?
That's right. Next week is going to offer us some very hot weather once again, as we could see highs into the triple digits. Let's just kind of go in reverse order with those weather headlines. Triple digit heat is on the way for next week. Now, before we get there, we are going to see very comfortable temperatures on Thursday and Friday. And then even today, we are going to be staying warm with highs into the upper 80s to low 90s, mid 80s to low 90s, I will say. But the one concern I have for today will be winds kicking up across the forecast areas. Many of us could see gusts as high as 30 miles per hour. I'll break all three of these weather headlines down in more detail later in the newscast.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Yakima. A man is facing murder charges after being accused of killing a man who owned the property he was living on. On Saturday, June 14th, just after 9 a.m., Yakima Police were called to the 1200 block of Pleasant Avenue, where in a backyard they found Rogelio Rodriguez, who'd been shot several times. Despite efforts to save Rodriguez, he died at the scene. The suspect was arrested nearby with a handgun that police say matched the shell casings found at the scene. The man is being charged with first and second degree murder. And it's been 26 days. Travis Decker, the man accused of killing his three daughters, is still on the run. And now the Kittitas County Sheriff's Office says there's, quote, no certain evidence that Decker is alive or in the area. They have put in extra patrols in place in several areas, including Blewett Pass, Liberty, Teanaway Valley, and Lauderdale. Despite that, they say they won't stop looking. Decker is accused of killing his three daughters, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, more than 3 weeks ago. He is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, you're asked to contact 911 immediately. Joseph Lee Allen Kuehl has been sentenced to almost 2 months in jail following a plea deal in harassment charges. Kuehl was accused of seeking retribution and had threatened Rodrigo Robles with a gun at a gas station in Ellensburg, stating they had unfinished business. Robles had been arrested for assaulting Kuehl's girlfriend. 48-year-old Kuehl pleaded guilty to harassment after police discovered he was carrying an air pistol. Robles was convicted in May of assault following the incident that led to Kuehl seeking vengeance. Judge Chris Harrion sentenced Kuehl to time served. A Hanford Site contractor is paying $6.5 million to settle a fraud case. The Department of Justice says Washington River Protection Solutions has paid the DOJ that money to resolve allegations it fraudulently overcharged the Department of Energy for labor hours. The DOJ says WRPS failed to provide employees with enough work for an entire shift and then told those same employees to record their time as if they had worked the entire shift. And we've been following the proceedings against a Zilla driving school after a number of viewers contacted us with concerns. KIMA's John Franklin walks us through the situation from the initial complaints to where everything stands now.
Todd asked me, you ever heard of anybody getting this done in just a couple weeks? And I said, no, that's just not possible. That sounds very shaky to me. And he said, yeah, that's what we're wondering too. But then he disclosed to me some things that caused me to be greatly concerned. And that's why I contacted the DOL.
In December of 2024, Alex Hansen learned from 2 driving instructors in the Valley that the Zilla School of Driving had some questionable qualifications to become driving instructors and start a school.
But one of those instructors said to him, hey, all you really have to do is show up and sign that you gave the lesson, and then you can leave. You don't really have to stay for the whole time. And obviously, that's not legal.
The Department of Licensing retrieved Zilla School of Driving instructors William Derrick Brown and Zach Dorr's training records. They were initialed by a certified trainer of trainers. However, he said that he never wrote them.
He will swear under oath that he did not give the instruction. And yet they presented to the DOL a record that he had given the instruction with his initials on it, his alleged initials. When the DOL showed this gentleman that document, he said, well, first of all, I've never seen that document, and those are not my initials. So that is a forgery.
The trainer of trainers says that he always signs his initials with 3 letters. However, only 2 letters were on the logs. He provided multiple forms that he initialed, all with 3 letters. Dorr told KIMA that, quote, I checked a box with the understanding that the person I checked the box for would validate that when asked, due to the massive payment that he received for his services. That was my mistake. I own that. At this point, the Department of Licensing were going to sanction the school and their instructors heavily with a $10,000 fine and a 10-year license suspension.
Obviously, this is America, and we have rights, and they have their rights, and so they appealed the decision.
Brown and Dorr provided more evidence to the investigators, and the sanctions shifted. Dorr admitted to having responsibility for anything illegal that may have happened. He was fined $1,000 and is unable to be a driving instructor until January of next year. Brown had to reapply and retrain to be a driving instructor legally. The Zilla School of Driving can reopen, and it has. In fact, City Administrator Michael Graham has told us that the business is in good standing with the City of Zilla. The DOL sent a letter to Hanson outlining some of the specific laws that they found to be broken. One law regards unprofessional conduct, specifically areas regarding misrepresentation or concealment of fact, and incompetence, negligence, or malpractice with harm to others. Another broken law regards the instructor's license. A third law regards suspension, revocation, or denial of licenses. Some lines in this law that have been broken includes false statements, fraud, and endangering educational welfare or personal safety of students. Another law broken is a WAC law by failing to provide satisfactory evidence for an instructor's license application.
KIMA's John Franklin, thank you. And the school has reopened and gave a 50% refund to all students who were affected by the incident. Dorr is no longer a part of the day-to-day operations with the school. And with that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan. Jefferson, speaking of driving today, anybody who's going to be getting out the door probably is going to want to think about turning on that AC pretty early on in the day.
Yeah, definitely turn on that AC. And if you don't have air conditioning in your car, well, that is just not ideal because it is going to be sweltering around the forecast area for today. As we look around the map, it's not going to be quite as hot today as yesterday, but still very warm out there in the Tri-Cities. I would anticipate upper 80s to low 90s today, mid to upper 80s for the Yakima Valley this afternoon, upper 70s to low 80s, a smidge cooler for the Kittitas Valley today, with mid to upper 80s for the foothills of the Blue Mountains. We will mostly break out, or I should say a majority of us today will break out to mostly sunny skies this afternoon, but we will hold on to some clouds today for the foothills of the Blue Mountains. Now let's talk about the wind. This is going to be the biggest concern of the weather forecast, at least for this Wednesday. Most of us, including the Tri-Cities, Yakima, Walla Walla, and Pendleton, will experience winds today gusting between 25 and 35 miles per hour, although in the Kittitas Valley, we could see winds gusting all the way to 40 miles per hour today. It's still very warm outside. Of course, it is very dry as well, so these winds will bring heightened fire danger. Please practice that fire safety today, and then just keep being mindful with that fire danger, because Thursday is going to stay rather blustery and Friday is going to be breezy too. So today, tomorrow, and Friday will be breezy before winds do finally start to subside on Saturday. Now let's talk about the next 2 days after today. On Thursday, there will be a few more clouds in the sky than we do see today. High temperatures on Thursday will range primarily in the low to mid 80s, although in the Kittitas Valley, we will see daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s. By Friday, anticipate more in the way of sunshine, with temperatures on Friday staying very similar to what we do see on Thursday. Now, I do urge you to enjoy the temperatures in the 70s and 80s over the next couple of days, because as we take a look at the Climate Prediction Center outlook, towards the end of June into the start of July, the Pacific Northwest is in, or finds itself in, these dark red colors, which mean we have a better than average chance of seeing above average temperatures. And in fact, by next Monday and Tuesday, many of us will see highs into the upper 90s to low 100s. So please enjoy the weather while you can before it's so hot that many of us will be staying indoors. For right now, I'm going to throw it back to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. Every day, technology is changing the way we live our lives, for better or for worse. KEPR's Aiden Whitaker spoke to a local police department harnessing some of that technology to keep us all safer with the help of drones.
So our drone program for Pasco started in 2020.
What started out as just a few consumer-grade drones readily available at local retailers has become a program worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, leading the way for other law enforcement agencies in Washington state.
And back then, we had a little over 10 pilots and just a few drones that our Pasco Police Foundation was able to help us purchase to get the program going.
Now the department has 16 drone pilots, one for every shift, and 13 different drones.
If the pilot happens to be on another call, because they're still working the road, they're still on patrol. So if they're out west, let's say in the city, and robbery occurs out on the east side of the city, you have a big time delay from the time the pilot can drive to the scene of the crime, get the drone out, deploy it, and then start searching for the suspect, anywhere from 15, 20 minutes, depending on how far away they are.
3 of those 13 drones are part of the latest drone technology called Drone as First Responder, which cuts out that response time.
We have 3 fixed locations that have drones inside of a waterproof dock that's available to launch from anywhere. So our pilots can pilot these from their vehicles on their MDTs.
Typically, under the regular rules of the Federal Aviation Administration, pilots are required to keep a drone within eyesight, but special exemptions and a laundry list of policies and procedures, it allows them to fly remotely, even miles away.
I'm going to deploy that drone that's closest to whatever's occurring, and they can be on scene. It takes about 30 seconds to launch the drone, and then however long, 30 seconds to a minute to fly to the scene. So we're on scene much faster. We can already determine, if there's weapons involved, where the suspects are in relation to the victims. Those updates are going to allow officers to either, okay, I need to respond quicker, or okay, the suspect's leaving, so now they can deal with that situation and get aid to the victim. Versus before, we're showing up and having to sort those things out, so we're always even more behind.
That made the most sense. Our officers don't have to stop. They don't have to pull a drone out. The officer's now out of service because he's launching the drone. They can, as they're responding to those calls, the drones can be launched from rooftops. And many, many times, our drones are beating the officers to the scene. Before they get there. So just knowing that fixed facility was going to allow a much better response and ensure the cadence of what we were doing was more coordinated.
Chief Roske says that they take your privacy very seriously. Oftentimes the drones aren't even recording unless they're actively searching for a suspect or there's some kind of evidentiary value. Reporting in Pasco, Aiden Whitaker, Action News.
Keepers in Whitaker, thank you. And the locations of those drones, it was not disclosed due to fears they could be vandalized. So far, the Pasco Police Department is the only local agency with a drone as a first responder program. Department leaders hope to buy a few more docks, as the program evolves. The city of Yakima is beginning its annual chip sealing program today. The work will be on Summit View Avenue and Tieton Drive from 48th Avenue to 56th Avenue. The work will then shift to Tieton Drive and Nob Hill Boulevard from 48th to 60th Avenues. The project is expected to last until the first week of September, with crews working from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Parking on the streets being worked will not be allowed. You can expect road closures and detours at times. You're encouraged to find another route during the project. The Kittitas County Board of Commissioners are moving forward in their search for a new county morgue. In their latest meeting, they voted to find a consultant to conduct a feasibility study. One of the places they are looking is near the airport, and the chief deputy coroner says that it makes sense because they will be working closely with the Public Works Department and Kittitas Valley Fire and Rescue. And switching gears this morning, the Findlay School District has been approved for a 4-day week to address a $1 million budget shortfall. The change was due to a failed levy back in February. This will save the district $200,000 a year. District leaders say it'll be done by reducing costs for utilities, food, nutrition, and substitute salaries, but it will also benefit students.
I think this is such an innovative thing for our area, and I think it really gives us a chance to look at our school systems in a different way and give us a chance to brainstorm new ideas that are going to increase student learning, student achievement, and really expand on this concept of working together, achieving together.
Now, this change will start in the fall for the 2025-26 school year. The length of school days, though, will be longer to meet the Washington state requirement for instructional hours. And a unique opportunity for high school students is giving them a close-up look at careers in healthcare. KIMA's Anissa Williams tells us about MultiCare's MASH Camp.
Hosted at Pacific Northwest University, students rotate through stations like suturing, wound care, intubation, and radiation, all before getting the chance to job shadow at Yakima MultiCare Memorial Hospital.
I think one of the biggest components is the job shadowing at Yakima Memorial Hospital. They get to get that experience that not a lot of students get to do at their young age. And I think another great thing is building already those connections within the mentors that they can meet during MASH camp. So that being the leads of our stations, that's already maybe a foot in the door by making that connection if that's of interest. And so I think that's what sets us apart.
Out of more than 80 applicants, only 30 students were selected for this year's program. One of them, Gavin Osborne, a rising senior from Natchez High School, is hoping the experience confirms her future in medicine.
What if this is like my calling? What if this is what God wants me to do? So I'm like, even if there is so much schooling, if I'm interested in it, it's not going to be boring. I'll be honest, I don't like school, but when it's something I'm interested in, it is so fun. So I'm like, if I do want to go into radiology, if I do want to go into the medical field, I'm not going to care if I have to do like 10 years of school because I'm going to be like, yes, I love this. This is so cool.
Osborne acknowledged it was only her first day at MASH camp, but said she'd recommend it to others, adding she couldn't imagine doing it during the school year or weekends and thinks others would agree.
I just feel like it's a cool way, like if you have free time and you really want like to go into the medical field, like do it. Like I think it's fun, and I just think, I don't know, like summer is the time to experience things, so experience them. And then I'm like, if I don't like it, okay, I don't need to waste thousands of dollars going to like nursing school or something. I can find something else. Like you can figure it out here in a few days.
Ultimately, my desire is for students to learn to love their community and want to whatever profession they desire to follow within healthcare, or maybe not healthcare. They leave camp and they're like, actually healthcare is not for me. That's great because you at least know now. And if you finish MASH camp, you're like, absolutely, I do want to be a pharmacist. I'm set, then I hope that this gives you that fire to know that you can do this, and it gives you those connections to pursue that career.
KIMA's Anissa Williams, thank you. And Ellensburg's Public Library is kicking off their summer reading program today. This year's theme is Color Our World. There's going to be a lot of art-related activities for all ages, from children to adults. Summer reading programs are intended to keep students from sliding through the summer and forgetting everything they learned during the school year. The Ellensburg Public Library even has local businesses helping them out this year.
We have one of our activities is with Gallery One. We have like an art treasure hunt for teens. Yeah, we have all kinds of art options. We're going to have an art party with different mediums for kids to work with for one of our events.
Now, the kickoff event is today from 4:30 to 6 on the library's lawn. And finally, a local church donated more than 29,000 pounds of meat to help with food insecurity in our community. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints recognized the commodity of meat in food banks, so they were able to get a semi-truck to deliver frozen meats to Second Harvest in Pasco. Leaders from the church say when they have excess food supplies, they donate to food banks around the country.
Commandments that we were given in the New Testament was not only to love God, our Heavenly Father, but the second great commandment was to love our neighbors, and this is part of providing that love to our neighbors.
If you would like to donate to Second Harvest, you can head over to our website, KEPRTV.com, where we have more information. And just a reminder, there's about 5 days left in our What's for Lunch campaign aimed at stocking the Second Harvest shelves to ensure our neighbors can access the food they need. Donations can be made at any Yokes location or online. And thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites, KEPR and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a wonderful Wednesday.